In today's video, we're going to be discussing top prospects. I'm going to rank for you who I think is the absolute top NHL prospect for all 31 NHL teams. And that's coming up next. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. We review and discuss all 31 NHL teams. So if you're a huge hockey fan, consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. So as I mentioned off the top, today we're discussing top NHL prospects. We're going to go through each of the 31 NHL teams, and I'm going to give you my opinion who I think their top prospect is as of today, March the 6th, 2018. So let's take a look. Let's jump right in. Now, rather than go through these teams in an alphabetical order, obviously I know there's people watching that are fan bases of all the different teams, so obviously I want to make it a little bit more interesting. So we're going to go through division by division. We'll go through the teams that way instead of going alphabetically here. Just going to kind of chase things up just to make it a little bit more interesting. So let's dive in here. Let's start with the Atlantic Division. The Detroit Red Wings, their top prospect for me is Michael Rasmussen. He was their 2017 first round pick. He is a big guy. He's 6'6", 220 pounds. He's a fast skater, good two-way player, excellent at blocking shots. He is going to be a big forward for them. So Michael Rasmussen definitely has a possibility of being an excellent two-way center for the Detroit Red Wings. He's a big guy. He's fast. He can shoot. He can block shots. He basically does a little bit of everything. He's a very hard worker and a very quick guy, even though he's so big. So Rasmussen for sure. He was last year's 2017 first round pick. He will be in Detroit sooner rather than later, especially considering where the team is at. He shouldn't have too hard a team making that team in the very near future. Now let's take a look at the Buffalo Sabres. By far and away, their top prospect is center Casey Mittlestadt. Obviously, Mittlestadt really shone this year at the World Junior Championships. He is a very dynamic playmaking center. He is going to be a major addition to that team. Obviously, it's the type of player that the Sabres are greatly missing right now. So he's going to be a welcome addition to the Sabres. He's a very quick skater. He's an excellent stick handler. He's an excellent playmaker, and he will be a top center in the NHL for a long time. The Ottawa Senators' top prospect is Logan Brown. Logan Brown's another big guy, 6'6", center iceman. A pretty good two-way player, but he's more known for his offense. He's been putting up a lot of points in junior. He almost made the team this year out of training camp. He did get a small sample size. He played 4 games for the Senators. And considering where all things are at for them with their franchise this season, I would fully suspect he'll get an even bigger opportunity next year to make that roster. It was debatable, though, after they made some trades here at the deadline and they picked up goalie Filip Gustavsson out of the Penguins organization. It was debatable if he might kind of overcome Logan Brown to kind of be their top prospect. The only reason I stuck with Brown here is mainly because I think he'll definitely be in the NHL a lot sooner. Gustafsson very well could be the goalie of the future for the Senators, but goalies typically do take a little bit longer to develop, and he's probably a year or two away. He is expected to play in North America next year, more likely for the American Hockey League, but should be getting an NHL opportunity here within the next year or two, I would think. Moving on to Montreal Canadiens, their top prospect for me is defenseman Noah Juulsen. He's actually getting a chance to play a few games with the Habs right now, mainly due to a lot of injuries, but they certainly need some good defensive help on the back end, and Juulsen is one of their top prospects, who was a first-round draft pick, will certainly help that team. Between him and Victor Mete, they will definitely be one of their top defenders for years to come. Obviously, Mete has had too much experience this year to still be considered a prospect. Obviously, he still went out. He was loaned to Canada to play for the World Junior Championships this year, and he's currently out injured. More likely going to miss the rest of the season now. But Mete has been a great addition along with Juulsen. That'll certainly shore things up in their back end once they get a little bit more experience under their belt. The Florida Panthers. We're going to talk about Alexei Heponiemi, who's a Finnish player who really stood out for me in the World Junior Championships this year. He's currently playing in the WHL for the Swift Current Broncos, and he is tearing it up. He's doing basically over 2 points a game. He's played 51 games, has 111 points. He is going to be a tremendous player for the Florida Panthers very soon. Another prospect of theirs looks very strong. Was another first-round pick, Owen Tippett. But to me, Heponiemi has really surpassed him this year to be their top prospect, and he looks phenomenal. Another great player out of Finland. Toronto Maple Leafs defenseman Timothy Liljegren. Obviously, they get some other defensive prospects as well, but I felt like, for example, Travis Dermott is really, to me, he's not really just a prospect anymore. He's played enough that he's he should stick with the big club and get enough playing time that he's kind of out of that position into like more of a mainstay. So to me, Liljegren's another great Swedish defenseman. He's a pretty offensive, dynamic player, pretty good at both ends of the ice. I would suspect that he should get some opportunity here with the Leafs probably next year. Hard to say. I mean, he probably won't be a regular for another year or two, depending on what they do with their blue line. But I would imagine that the blue line is going to be one of those things the Leafs are going to be tweaking here in the offseason. So we'll see. Maybe he gets an opportunity sooner than later. But he's certainly a great defensive help out of Sweden. Another top Sweden defenseman. They've been producing a lot of top guys that are good defenders and an offensively minded defenseman as well. So Liljegren is definitely the Maple Leafs' top prospect. Boston Bruins, it's got to be forward Ryan Donato. We just seen him at the Olympics representing Team USA. This guy has a very good shot. He's going to be a top goal scorer, more likely probably a top winger on either the first or second line. He looks like he has the ability to score a lot of goals. Obviously his dad, Ted Donato, played in the NHL for quite a while as well with the Bruins. There's a lot of history there. No, Donato is not officially signed a contract with the Bruins as of yet. He has been drafted now for a few years. They do need to look after that sooner than later to make sure they retain his rights. But I don't have any concerns. There's no reason to believe that won't happen just yet. But I fully suspect Ryan Donato is going to be a top player for the Bruins here in the not too distant future. Tampa Bay. Now, if you watch my other videos, I picked Matthew Joseph in the top 20 overall for the whole league. So I had to put Matthew Joseph here as their top prospect. But the other one that you have to consider as well is Anthony Cirelli. Cirelli just got called up. He's going to have a chance to play his first couple games in the NHL with Tampa. But for me, Matthew Joseph is just a little bit more dynamic player. He's got wicked speed, playing his first full season in the AHL, and he's doing very well. Last time I checked, he was over a point per game player. So Matthew Joseph to me is a tremendous offensively, very quick player. I got to see quite a bit where he played his junior hockey not far from where I live here, so I got a chance to see him a bunch of times. And he is a tremendous player. But Anthony Cirelli is also another good choice. If I had to go with number 2, it would be Cirelli. But for me, I think they're just letting Joseph have a little bit more seasoning in the AHL, but he'll get his chance here soon enough. So those are all the teams in the Atlantic Division. Let's jump over to the Metro. An easy one for Pittsburgh is Daniel Sprong. Now, I still look at Sprong as a top prospect. He hasn't played enough games to be out of that. He's not a regular in the Penguins lineup at this point. But obviously, Sprong is a very gifted offensive player. Played his junior hockey for the Charlottetown Islanders, another team that's not too far from me, so I've gotten to see him play a few times as well. So obviously, Sprong for Pittsburgh. More than likely, with depending on how they do here, I mean, obviously, Pittsburgh is going to be tight to the salary cap. They're going to need young guys to fill some roles here. So Sprong will get his chance soon enough, and I fully suspect he'll get probably a bigger role next season. Next up, we got the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, the Hurricanes are blessed to have some decent-looking prospects. One guy we can't overlook here is Jake Bean, but I went with their top prospect as Martin Necas of the Czech Republic. He had a fantastic tournament at the World Junior Championships. He's going to be a very dynamic offensive player. Hopefully have a chance to play with the Hurricanes sooner than later here. But Martin Necas, for me, is definitely the top prospect for the Carolina Hurricanes. Moving on to the New York Rangers, to me it's Lias Andersson. Obviously Philip Cheadle's another one that's not too far off the mark and will likely get a chance to play in New York as well. Sooner than later, and it could be a regular as early as next year, really. I think him and Anderson both have that possibility with them going through a rebuild here. But Lias Andersson was the captain of the Swedish team at the World Junior Championships this past tournament. Obviously, you may remember he was the guy who took off his medal and threw it into the crowd. But don't let that tarnish your image of him. He's a fantastic hockey player. And he's just a teenager having a bad moment. You've got to try not to give these kids too many issues here with stuff like that. I mean, I know it's not a great decision, but Elias Andersson's a heck of a hockey player. He's going to be a tremendous player for the New York Rangers. Very offensively gifted. Actually, pretty good two-way player as well, but mainly more known for his offense. But him and Philip Cheadle will definitely be in the Rangers lineup as early as next year for sure. So the Rangers definitely have some bright things to look forward to here with their prospects. Moving on to the Jersey Devils, their top prospect for me is Michael McLeod, an excellent two-way center iceman. Probably going to project to be a number 2, number 3 center in the NHL. Probably start off in a 3-4 spot for the Devils, but really he's an excellent two-way player. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Patrice Bergeron. Not sure he'll have quite that good a career. That's some pretty big shoes to fill, and so definitely something hard to live up to. I'm not going to go out and say he's going to be the next Patrice Bergeron, but to compare him to somebody that everybody would know, that's who he kind of reminds me of and how he plays. He's got good size, he's hardworking, he's quick, he's a good distributor of the puck for a center iceman. He really does all the little things really well, and the Devils certainly have lots to be excited about there with Michael McLeod. Moving on to New York Islanders, for me, their top prospect is Kiefer Bellows. He is going to be a pure sniper in NHL, another second-generation star. Obviously, his dad was Brian Bellows, played a long time in the Minnesota organization. I believe he played for the Habs a bit as well. But Kiefer Bellows, he started off playing in the NCAA, played a year in college hockey, then now he's moved over to the WHL, and he's absolutely tearing it up. He's played the last 2 World Junior Championships for Team USA, and he is phenomenal. This guy's going to be a pure sniper, and the Islanders have a lot to be excited about for Kiefer Bellows. Moving on to Philadelphia, for me, their top prospect is goalie Carter Hart. He is the goalie of the future for this franchise. And it's something that franchise has been missing a long time, is that franchise goalie that they can rely on for a long time and have stability in the net. And Carter Hart is just that guy. He's having a record-breaking season in the WHL for the Everett Silvertips. He is going to be there sooner than later. I know goalies tend to develop a little bit slower, but I fully suspect that this is going to be his last year of junior. He's definitely going to be turning pro next year. Not to say that he'll necessarily be in the Flyers' main team in the NHL, but I know I've seen interviews with him saying that's definitely his goal, and he hopes to get there as soon as possible. Probably going to need a little seasoning in the AHL. They still have some other guys under contract for a little while yet anyways. But Flyers fans, you have a lot to be happy with. Carter Hart is definitely going to be one of the top goalies in the NHL here in the next few years. I have no doubts about that. For me, another goalie, to look at Washington. The Washington Capitals, their top prospect, Elias Andersson, currently playing over in the KHL. He was their first-round pick a couple of years ago in 2015 it was. I believe it was 22nd overall, if I'm not mistaken. He is absolutely tearing it up in the KHL. He is another guy who's going to have a very bright future. They need to get him signed and brought over to North America to start transitioning his game to the NHL. I'm not sure exactly what the plans are for him, but he's certainly, for me, is far and away one of the top. Not only, he's definitely one of the top, if not the top goalie prospect right now outside of the NHL. Him and Carter Hart are definitely a couple of top ones, but he is, considering they already have Holtby in the net long term here for the Capitals, not sure what their plans will be, but it's, you know, when they get Grubauer too, so they're pretty solid in net. Samsonov for me is a tremendous upside. It's going to be, it should be an excellent goalie in the NHL for a long time. Let's move along to the Columbus Blue Jackets. This one was a little bit trickier for me. I don't think their prospect pool is nearly as deep as some of these other teams in the NHL. They do have a couple of defensive prospects that I looked at, like Collins was one of them. But for me, their top prospect that I think has the most upside for me is Maxime Fortier. He's an undrafted player playing junior. He played for the Halifax Mooseheads right now. He didn't get drafted. He was signed by the Blue Jackets as a free agent. He's having a fantastic season in junior right now. He's at 71 points in 59 games. So Fortier has, you know, probably going to go to their American Hockey League team in Cleveland next year, be my guess. And then from there, we'll see how he develops. But for me, Fortier is the top prospect for the Blue Jackets. Moving along to the Central Division. Let's take a look here. There's some good ones here for sure. The Winnipeg Jets, for me, it's Brendan Lemieux. Obviously, Brendan Lemieux is still not a regular enough player in their lineup. He has seen a limited amount of action for the Jets, but you know, he certainly has a tremendous offensive upside. I definitely see him being a solid second, third line player, probably 20, 25 goals. And he's a very hard-working player as well. So Brendan Lemieux, Winnipeg Jets, top prospect. Nashville Predators. We've got Tolvanen out of Finland is definitely their top prospect. He was recently a major star at the Olympics. He played for the Finnish Olympic team this past Olympics here that just completed in South Korea, in Pyeongchang. He looked tremendous. Now there has been speculation on it because he's not signed yet as well, that he was going to be signed and brought over. That hasn't gone down yet. I know there were speculation he may get it done in time to maybe see some playoff hockey with the Predators this spring. Tolvanen is a tremendous offensive hockey player. If that team was not good enough already, they get him on the way. So they're very blessed. He was their first round pick here not too long ago. Dallas, we got Miro Heiskanen, another Finnish player, playing in the Finnish Elite League. Going to be a top defenseman. And really, I think the way the Dallas Stars are built, they're going to need some defensive prospects here sooner than later. Heiskanen was a top first round pick here not too long ago and looks to be having a tremendous upside. So he'll be in Dallas sooner than later. I have no doubt about that. Minnesota, for me, their top pick is another guy we saw in the Olympics. Is Jordan Greenway. He's a really, really big guy, 6'6", 225 pounds. Has tremendous offensive upside. Playing in the NCAA right now. Had a pretty decent Olympic tournament as well. Obviously, unfortunately, Team USA didn't fare so great, but their young guys like Greenway really looked pretty solid. Greenway and Donato, probably the top two guys in my opinion. Donato was really a standout in that tournament. But Jordan Greenway is a big body, can have a lot of offensive talent, and he'll be in Minnesota sooner than later. I have no doubts there. The St. Louis Blues, now they're one of the top teams in the league with the most top prospects, in my opinion. They're well stocked. For me, their top prospect is center Robert Thomas. Robert Thomas is a tremendous two-way center, has a lot of offensive upside, but he's really good on face-off, good on the defensive game. It kind of reminds me, similar player to Michael McLeod actually, and Patrice Bergeron, how I compared him. He kind of fits that same sort of bill. I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to project to be like a number 2, number 3 center. I don't know if he'd be a number 1 type guy, but he still has tremendous upside. Another player for the Blues that I was under heavy consideration was Jordan Kyrou. I really like Kyrou's offensive game. He's going to be a top winger, should have a crack at the NHL sooner or later as well. But for me, Thomas has just a little bit more potential, a little bit more upside over Kyrou. Moving along, Colorado Avalanche. To me, this one was an easy one. Cale Makar, we saw him at the World Junior Championships this year. He's currently playing in the NCAA, so he may be an extra year or 2 away, depending on how long he stays in college. But he is going to be a tremendous offensive defenseman. Very gifted player. He sees the ice very well. He's very good shot, very good passer. Like, he's really the complete package. Still needs to work a little bit on his defensive game, but overall it's not too bad considering where he's at. But he was drafted 4th overall last year, so he's definitely going to be a top guy in the NHL. He has a lot of upside. Avalanche fans along here, actually another defenseman that Avalanche had along the way is Connor Timmins. They just signed him to his entry-level deal the other day. Those two coming along the way are going to be a huge help for Colorado. Now the Chicago Blackhawks, last but not least here in the Central Division, for me, their top prospect is Henri Jokiharju. He was their first-round pick last year. Defenseman out of Finland again. Another good player, had a good showing at the World Junior Championships. He's having a tremendous offensive season. 65 points in 56 games. He's playing here in Canada in the Western Hockey League for the Portland Winterhawks. It has a tremendous upside, and really Chicago needs some more defensemen coming along the way. It's certainly an area of opportunity for them to improve this year. Their defense has really struggled, so Jokiharju will be a big help to them moving forward. Now, last but not least, let's jump over to the Pacific Division here. Let's start with our friends of the Vegas Golden Knights. The Golden Knights have been a tremendous story all year, and as good as they've been, they got some fantastic prospects on the way. Leading the way is Cody Glass, who was the first-round pick in last year's NHL draft. Cody Glass has tremendous upside to be a top offensive player. There's also got Nick Suzuki, who they were both their first-round picks last year in the 2017 entry draft. But Cody Glass, for sure, a tremendous offensive player coming along for the Vegas Golden Knights. The LA Kings, their top prospect is center Gabe Vilardi. Another guy, he's big, he's strong, he's fast. He projects to be a top 1 or 2 center iceman in the NHL. Vilardi's putting up a lot of points in junior hockey right now, and I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think he's going to be long at all getting in the Kings lineup. I know there was a lot of trade rumors when LA was looking to upgrade for their playoff run that they're hoping to go on here. As we approach the NHL trade deadline, a lot of speculation the Kings were looking to add another top 6 forward, and his name was mentioned in trade rumors, but they basically said there's no way they're trading this guy. They didn't want to mortgage their future for a shot this year, which makes sense. I definitely would hang on to Vilardi. Anaheim Ducks, center iceman Sam Steele, playing the WHL in the Western Hockey League. He also played for Canada at the World Junior Championships. Very quick, very crafty, excellent playmaking center, extremely fast on the skates. He is going to be a top. I think he has the potential for me to be a number 1, number 2 center. And with Anaheim, with their top center iceman guys like Ryan Getzlaf, Ryan Ketzler, etc., getting up there in age, they're going to need this guy, and he's going to come in handy soon enough. And he's got some great guys there he can learn from as he enters the NHL and learns his craft. But Sam Steele, for me, Anaheim Ducks top prospect, hands down. Vancouver Canucks, this one was also an easy one. Elias Pettersson. Obviously, Pettersson's another forward out of Sweden with a tremendous offensive upside. I have no doubt he'll be on the Canucks lineup next year. I can just imagine between him, Brock Besser, and Bo Horvat, the Canucks do have a bright future. Even though things haven't gone well the last couple of years, guys like Pettersson are certainly going to help turn things around. This Canucks team, you can say what you want about them and Jim Benning, but they have drafted very well the last few years, and they've stocked their cupboard pretty well with prospects. They have some other guys on the way as well, which are going to be a tremendous help to that team to help the rebuild process move along. Arizona Coyotes, we're going with Dylan Strome. Dylan Strome was expected to make this team this year, did not. Has had a tremendous season, though, in the American Hockey League. Certainly kind of developed a little bit slower than a lot of people thought, myself included. I thought he'd be a little bit more of an offensive player in the NHL by now. But hopefully that extra year seasoning is going to projected him to make this team next year and to not only make the team, but to have an impact. Dylan Strome should be a top 6 forward if everything projects correctly. He has a lot of upside, and we'll see if he can get things going in Arizona next year. Calgary Flames, for me, it was a little bit tough. I'm going with Dylan Dubé, who also played for Canada at the World Junior Championships this year. He was their captain. Very hard-working forward, good offensive abilities, good leadership skills. I think he'll fit in really well with that young core in Calgary. Another player they've got to be considered for this was Spencer Fu. But for me, Dylan Dubé has a little bit more upside. He's a little bit younger too. But I think Dylan Dubé, as he played in the World Junior Championships, he got his entry-level deal all signed up. I would imagine he'll move into their system in the pro rankings here next year. Probably a year or so away from making it into the Flames top team, but I can see him playing in the American Hockey League next year for a year of seasoning. But he should project to be probably more of a top 9 forward. I can see him maybe being a third line guy, maybe second line. Moving along, Edmonton Oilers. This one was an easy one for me. Is Kailer Yamamoto. Yamamoto had a taste of the NHL this year. He got a 9-game sample size. For me, this guy's going to be an excellent winger. Connor McDavid. He's small, but he's incredibly quick, incredibly gifted. He is tearing it up in junior this year. After he went back, after the Oilers reassigned him, he's been on fire. His point totals this year are crazy in junior. So I fully suspect Yamamoto to be a full-time NHLer next year. Moving along, last but not least, we get the San Jose Sharks. For me, it's their 2017 first-round pick, Josh Norris, as a forward playing at the University of Michigan. Pretty good offensively gifted forward, very quick skater. Obviously, this year's going to be a big draft in 2018. Obviously, we redo this list here after the summer draft into the fall next year. We're definitely going to see some new names on it. The 2018 NHL entry draft is expected to be a very deep draft with some high-quality guys going in the first round. We did do a preview video expecting so far we've ranked the top 20 players to go in the first round of the 2018 entry draft. If you haven't seen those videos, there'll be a playlist link up here where you can go check that out to get a preview of the upcoming NHL draft. There is a third piece coming in that series that will be released soon as well. Our goal was to cover all 31 guys that are expected to go in the first round this year. So I certainly hope you like this video. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. We do all kinds of videos like this where we look at prospects, but we also talk a lot about NHL trades, trade rumors, suspensions, news, notes. We cover all 31 teams. We have daily uploads, and there's many days where there's more than one upload, so there's lots of content for you to enjoy, so certainly consider subscribing if you're new. If you haven't done so already, certainly consider checking us out on social media. You're going to see our Twitter handle on the screen right here. We're also on Facebook and Instagram, and all those accounts are linked down below in the description. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. We'll catch you next time.